Hi, everybody. Hope you're all well, keeping safe. We certainly find ourselves in strange days, and it's moments like this when you start to ask yourself, okay, how can I use my skills and experience or knowledge to be helpful and help others? And I've been working remote for 6 years, and I see that more and more people are now starting to work from home because of what's happening. So I decided to do a little contribution to share some of the things I've learned along the way from 6 years of being remote. And it kind of is summed up in these three things that I taught myself to redefine what my work week looks like, try and rethink how meetings are, and also talk a little bit about communication because that's what I spend most of my time talking about. So, let's start with the working week. And I think this is the big one because, we all hate meetings. If you go type meetings are into Google, you get to see what we all think of meetings. And for a lot of us, that's what our diary looks like. That's what our calendar looks like. And when you suddenly find yourself working from home and not in an office environment, then this kind of needs to change. I think it needs to change anyway, but so my big learning was it's called partitioning your week. So I was figuring out when do I need to do certain activities and when am I in my most creative if I need to create stuff. So I'm not putting this up as how you do it, but for me, I definitely have like first thing in the morning and at the end of the day is when I take care of email, Slack, and things like that. And I really go through it in terms of understanding what do I need to reply to now that's urgent and what can be, pushed back to maybe at the end of the day. And then I use the morning hours to do deep work, to when I need to come up with something, create something, design something, whatever it is. And then in the afternoon, because we obviously have offices all around the world, so then I do my video meetings at the end of the day. But making sure that you partition your day as much as possible, that really helps you focus when you need to get certain bits of work done. The next big thing is distractions. It took me a long time to figure out how to manage notifications, manage requests for time, FaceTime, help, questions, whatever it is. And I'm still guilty of asking other people, and I'm always having in the back of my head, maybe I'm taking them out of this deep work that they're trying to do. But yeah, figuring out how to be good at switching off notifications when you're doing that, purple block there, the deep work. How can you make sure during that time that you kind of minimize distractions? Because when you get distracted, that really takes you out of that deep work. And normally at least it takes me 10, 15, 20 minutes to get back into that flow of working. So that's my two or three things around redefining what the week looks like. The next thing is looking at how can we change how we think about meetings, because there's a number of things going on here inside a company. So I call it the 80-20, that there's a difference in how time is for managers and senior managers and how time is for those of us who do creation. So a manager will spend her time in lots and lots of meetings with people in her team or her department and figuring out, okay, how can I keep things moving forward, remove obstacles, give budget, things like that. Now, someone who creates, like an engineer, for example, then her time is more about creation. And meetings, therefore, kind of mean different things for both those types of people, managers and creators. And what you need to try and balance is a manager might want to do meetings at times that fit into the little gaps that he or she has in the calendar. Whereas if somebody's meeting availability is 3 o'clock for you, 3 o'clock for them, which works because they have a gap in their calendar, but 3 o'clock for you is right in the middle of your deep work time, then that's can destroy your whole afternoon. So what you need to think about is how you can improve the communication between people who are creators and people who are managers to kind of play with, when meeting times can happen, because that has a big impact. The next thing is, how can you reduce the amount of time a meeting takes? And, we're all very good at trying, most meetings in most companies are either half an hour or an hour, when actually sometimes maybe it can be 15 minutes. But one of the things that we can do is to use video to kind of reduce the length of a meeting, because, Jeff Bezos started this a few years ago, where he suddenly said, okay, let's everybody have like a 6-page document to read or a memo to read before we start that meeting. So everybody has that jumping off information, if you like. And, what we know is, as humans, we don't like reading lots and lots of text. It's hard to take the message from it. We have to read multiple times. Whereas you can create a video that just says, okay, here's all the things that we need to know about. And, people get to watch it multiple times before the meeting. And you can even prep people to say, okay, watch the video, and if there's any questions, write the questions down. And then when you get into the actual meeting itself, that can be just about, answering questions, getting into a discussion and making decisions. So this is like a really effective way to reduce the amount of time each meeting takes. So the next thing is, can you remove certain meetings altogether? When you have people in different locations, different time zones, and go back to thinking about how different people's time means different things, then, sometimes it may not be convenient for you to go to a meeting. Maybe it's in, 9 o'clock in the evening for you, or you're in the middle of doing some deep work on a project. So what you can do is, at a time that's convenient to you, is you record a video. This is one that I did where I wanted to be at a brainstorm meeting that was at 9 o'clock on Friday evening for me. That's not when I'm going to be creative. And also I don't want to do it at 9 o'clock in the evening. So, I can record a video and send my thoughts, and then, it's almost as good as me being there in the call. So think about how you can do those two things: reduce the length of meetings and reduce some meetings altogether. And the third thing is just, looking at communication. How can we be better at communication? Now, when you think about video meetings, when we're inside companies, at least from my experience, it looks a little bit like this, that there's a group of people in a room, and someone like me will be on the screen, remote. And sometimes there'll be multiple meeting rooms in different locations, and it's really hard sometimes to hear people, because maybe they're sat at the end of the table. Maybe people are tapping away on keyboards, which sounds really loud when you're remote, or people eating food. There's always, or side conversations. There's many things that make it difficult when you're remote to kind of hear what's going on and to follow what's going on. So one of the most powerful things that you can do is get everybody to join remotely. So if everybody joins from a laptop, then instantly you look at this picture here, and you can see everybody's face. You can see how they react to things, and it makes for a much more maybe intimate's not the right word, I don't know, but you kind of have this human connection with people that you don't have when you just see a few faces in a meeting room somewhere. So get everybody to join the meeting from their own laptop. That makes a huge difference to the experience for everybody. The next thing is, plan what you're going to say before you go into those meetings. And this also helps you if you already have that jumping off information beforehand. But even if you don't, you can still do this. And I've used this a lot. This originally is a matrix by somebody called Andrew Abella. It's called the Think Do Matrix. And you basically ask yourself, what do people think now about what I want to talk about? And what are they doing right now about that subject that I want to talk about? And what do I want them to think and do afterwards, when I finish talking, or when I finish giving my presentation, or whatever it is? And you fill in the answers to that. And the only thing you need to talk about in that meeting is the content that helps people move from before to after. So to change what they think about, to change what they're doing by the content that you say or the content that you present. And because of my obsession around emotional connection and how people kind of connect to things emotionally, I added feel to this matrix, because if you think about what does somebody feel about this right now? You know, there's always other agendas going on with everybody inside the workplace, apart from, okay, this is their job title, this is the responsibilities that they have, but actually maybe something else is going on. So what do they feel about this right now? And what do you want them to feel about it after you've kind of either given the presentation or said what you're going to say in the meeting? So this is a really good kind of little matrix to plan what you're going to say. Now, if you're going to send some information ahead of time that you want people to digest, that you're then going to discuss and talk about in a meeting, then you can also use this, which is 4 stages. So setup, complication, the question that arises, and your solution. So the setup is just like the backstory, to give them all the information about, you know, why this has become a thing that we need to talk about or make a decision about. And the complication, so let's give an example. Say let's take remote work. So the setup would be, you know, remote work is here to stay. There's more and more people doing remote work, and the complication would be, but yeah, we all hate meetings, and we still think that communication is one of the toughest challenges that we have. So the question arises is, so how do we fix video meetings? And then we go into the solution. Here's our, you know, ideas for how we can do it. So that's a good framework for giving information to people that then allows them to think about, okay, do we think this is a good solution? What proof do we need? What evidence do we need? How can we test it? All those kind of things. So again, just a quick framework for communication. And finally, use metaphors. Metaphors are super powerful. You'll see politicians use them a lot, and you'll see a lot of business leaders use them. And salespeople are also very good at using them. And a recent example, to stay with the whole thing around the coronavirus, is, you know, I was watching somebody talk about washing your hands, and to think before you wash your hands, imagine that you've just been chopping jalapeno peppers and you've got it all over your fingers, and now you need to take your contact lens out. How good are you going to wash your hands before you do that? So that's something that every single time I go to wash my hands, without even thinking about it, the jalapeno metaphor pops into my head. So think about how you can use metaphors to describe something that will make it sticky in somebody's mind. So that's it. I mean, I could riff on this for hours, but this video is already turning into too long a video. But seriously, if anybody out there is suddenly finding themselves in this working from home, doing video meetings, like, I'm more than happy to jump on a call and spend, 15 minutes, half an hour, or just reach out to me on social media, whatever it is. I'm happy to help. So, get in touch with me, and yeah, good luck. Keep safe. See you soon.